Monday morning here in Toronto, Justin Pooni, Steven Psihogios of NorthStar Bets, and Stevie. What an interesting weekend it was. Leaf goaltending struggles rear its ugly head, not only on the NHL level, but also on the AHL level. The Winnipeg Jets, a team that I thought was a better team than Story, might be proving me wrong after they smacked over the Colorado Avalanche. And hey, look, my Canucks actually won in Edmonton. Surprise, surprise. And now on the precipice of winning their first division title since 2013. And also, we got a big slate of games tonight. It's Monday, so we're going to have our bets as well. Stevie, let's jump right in to the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 5-4 overtime loss to the Detroit Red Wings, a team that is battling for a final playoff spot. Ilya Samsonov, after months of playing really good hockey and really turning and changing the narrative, uh, did not have his best game. I will say a couple of the goals were not his fault. Bad defensive lapses by the Leafs, but the fourth goal was not good. And then also the bad rebound for the DeBrincat goal. Excuse me, when I say DeBrincat four times, was not good as well. Stevie has the Leafs goaltending that you've mentioned. It's rearing its ugly head right now at the wrong time. Is this a real huge cause for concern for the Leafs in any first round matchup now?
Yeah, yeah, and this is something we knew all along. Neither of these guys are established number one, so that right out of the way causes a bit of a problem. And look, when you play this goalie game, sometimes it works out, like the
Mhm.
Vegas Golden Knights last year, where they had so many bodies and so many guys they could turn to. They just needed one to get hot, and Aiden Hill did that. You can play that goalie game, or you can play the one that the Winnipeg Jets are playing, the one that the Florida Panthers are paying, where you pay for an established guy and you build your
Mhm.
team around that. We know Toronto can't do that because of the way their roster is set up, so they have to play the goalie roulette wheel. And unfortunately for them, they're coming up short every single time. But
Mhm.
this isn't a surprise. Samsonov was in the minors earlier this year. You're telling me you can put your faith in a guy who's in the minors? And not only that, you also have an unproven goalie in Joseph Wall. I know Leaf fans like the potential, but unproven, has
Mhm.
not done anything at the NHL level of substance,
Yep.
coming back from injury. And that was your plan going into the playoffs, going with the guy who was in the minors and the unproven youngster who hasn't done anything? Like, really? That really never had a chance of of working out. And they should have looked at the deadline to see who was shopping a goaltender just to bring a little bit of stability. I think they should even look at giving Martin Jones a chance just because
Mm.
of the way his numbers were when he did play. And you got to remember, he has a 910 save percentage. When he was playing, he was getting the start every night because the Leafs had
Yep.
no other goalies to turn to. So if you give him a little bit of rest here and give him a start or two before the playoffs, I'd like to see what they have in Jones.
That's interesting that you bring up Martin Jones. We haven't seen him really since January, when he
Yeah.
last really played. So that's interesting. There's going to be a whole lot of rust there. I think. I don't. I believe that Sheldon Keefe has passed the point now where to go back to Martin Jones. I think this is Samsonov, and this is Samsonov until the wheels fall off. And if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm very worried because he hasn't. Maybe he's been overworked, he's tired or whatever, and it's catching up to him. But some of the mental errors he's making, some of his positioning has not been the best. So I think while I do agree with you that the Leafs are in trouble in any goaltending matchup they have in the first round, it looks like they're going to play Florida. And that's a goaltending mismatch. And we saw that last year, whether Wall was in the net or Samsonov. So it's a worrisome moment for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's very worrisome that their goaltending is not going to be up to snuff. And the worst part is, Stevie, they're going to be on the road the first two games, right? Can Samsonov go into a hostile environment and help steal a game? Because they're going to have to split the first two games, or at least be somewhat of a fight. Because if they come back home down 0-2, I don't like their chances at all to come out of the first round.
No, and like you said, they're going to play a Florida team that's better than them. We saw last year in the playoffs they were better than the Leafs. The Leafs loaded up and retooled a bit, but Florida is also retooled. They added Tarasenko at the
Yep.
deadline, which was an addition to help with depth scoring, and they just have more. I think top to bottom, they're a tougher team to play against, top to bottom. We've seen it time and time again. Kachuk willing to get his hands dirty.
Yep.
Bennett willing to get his hands dirty. And Reinhardt is having his best season ever. So they've kind of gotten better without adding as much as the Leafs had. The Leafs added Domi,
Mhm.
Bertuzzi. They added on defense, Labushkin, Edmondson. They added some guys on the back end. But I think the Panthers have taken a step forward. They've been healthier. This is a group that's gelling.
Mhm.
I don't like Toronto's chances at all. I'm not going to pick the Leafs to win in the first round against the Florida Panthers. I'd like their chances more against a Boston. And
Mhm.
I've said that. I'm on record of saying that this year. That won't happen, likely. But we'll see what happens. It's a tough draw for Toronto, and I'm not expecting them to
Yeah,
move on beyond the first round. And there'll be some major questions to answer if not.
absolutely. And look, before we end the Leaf talk, let's talk about Sheldon Keefe and his comments about Austin Matthews and his chase for 70, basically saying it's a distraction. Do you see Matthews now sitting at all the last two games, one goal away from 70, or does he really just try to push through and get to that historic mark?
If they sit him, he's going to Utah with the Coyotes. There's no
Oh,
way they're sitting. There's no way they're sitting Matthews these last two games. That to me is ridiculous. Imagine your star player. What
yeah.
a slap in the face that would be.
But Keefe came out and said it's a
Okay,
distraction.
okay, that's fine. It's a
Yeah.
distraction. These games don't even matter. Like they're actually the only reason why people are tuning in to watch
But
your
also,
team right now.
other thing, Stevie, is this the Jake McCabe hit in the face with a puck on Saturday. Looks like he'll be okay. But Bobby McMahon got hurt as well, right? So injuries are
Right.
coming back.
For
Joel
sure.
Edmondson is
For
just
sure.
coming back from injury. We don't know really how healthy Mitch Marner is. He looks like he's all right, but he was out for a long time recently. So, and Matthews crashed into the boards heavy in that game as well, right? So you have to wonder, like, do we risk losing our franchise player in meaningless games?
No, you have to play him. The 70 goal mark is such an unprecedented plateau to hit for a player. You've
Right.
got to play him. You have
You have
to.
to.
You have to play him. He wants to play. If you were to ask Austin Matthews right now, do you want to play or not? And
Yeah.
that's what it should be. This should be Matthews' decision. If Matthews says no, I'm good, and I'll
Mhm.
sit on 69 and end the year with that,
Yeah.
fine. You bench him. But there's no chance this guy is saying, I don't want to play with 2 games left. If he scores 70 in the next game, okay, you sit him in the final game. I
Right.
think he'd be okay with that too. But if he's going into game 82 on 69, there's no way he's saying I don't want to play. And I think you have to. To me, it's not a distraction.
Mhm.
To me, I think it's really the only meaningful thing that the team has to play for right now. And you could tell they're looking for him on the ice. But I think it's his decision. And
Yeah.
if he doesn't want to play for 70, man, geez, I don't know. If you, I'd be a little concerned honestly if he said no to not wanting to hit 70.
All right, let's go to another team with goaltending struggles and just struggling in general. The Colorado Avalanche, a team that you said you're tired of hearing about and being overhyped. They got smacked around by the Winnipeg Jets. Then yesterday they lose to Vegas in a strange game. Right? Is it time to press the panic button in the Colorado Avalanche and accept the fact that the Winnipeg Jets can and will be a difficult test and potentially the favorite in a first round playoff series?
It's been time. It's
Yeah.
been time. I've you know me, I when I see something I don't like, I'll flag it. I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
And this Colorado team has not been trending in the right direction. Goaltending, the Leafs get a lot of the play because they're the big market team. And
Right.
also they're the team that's failed year over year over year. But Colorado, let's talk about failure. This team won Stanley Cup. They've been promised as the next dynasty in the NHL. Apparently the Hart Trophy winner plays there for this year. I don't know why. I don't know whose Hart Trophy he's winning. McKinnon, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but
I told
to
you why
say
he's
he's
gonna win the Hart Trophy. I told you why.
yeah, I know, I know. We don't
Narrative.
have to go down that road, but I know. And you got Kale McCarr, the best defenseman in the league, but you got no one stopping a puck in net. There's nobody in net that can make a save, and that's a big problem. Alexander Georgiev.
Yeah.
The Avs have flown too close to the sun here. They thought, okay, we won the cup with Kemper. Let's actually downgrade at goaltending and get even worse and see how bad we can get in net and still win the cup. They got bounced in the first round last year against a very stingy Seattle Kraken team. This year, they're going up against a very stingy Winnipeg Jets team. I don't like their chances. Winnipeg 3-0 against Colorado this year. If you can get the Avs in a shootout type of game, I like Colorado. Winnipeg is not going to want to play that. Rick
Yeah,
Bowness hockey is not up and down, open ice hockey. It's shut you down hockey. And if they take away McKinnon, what else is there to like on that Avalanche team? Let's be real. There's not a lot. So
that is
give
true.
me the Winnipeg Jets to win that series because when push comes to shove, the Avs don't have enough to make up for the goaltending chasm between Hellebuck and Georgiev or Noonan.
Well, you look at it, right? We talked about the Jets. We know how great Connor Hellebuck is, Vezina Trophy winner. We know how good their defense is. They're actually scoring a lot more now too. They've crept back up the standings. They're at 3.14 goals per game. I think they were below 3 at one point in time this season. So they're scoring now, and they're scoring a bunch of since they acquired Tyler Toffoli at the trade deadline. I think the Jets can really push the Avs around because, like you mentioned, the goaltending on the Avs is not good. Georgiev is he's not Darcy Kemper. He's not a capable goalie like that. Um, do I think that this series will be a 7-game slaughterhouse? Yes, I do, because I think it's going to be very hard for a team to finish off a team like Colorado that's been there, right? That's one. Yes, they got eliminated in the first round last year, but this is a team that knows how to win and knows how to win in the playoffs. And everything in the playoffs, the game tightens up, it slows down. And can the Jets guys like Connor, Toffoli, Scheifele, can they step up and compete and score and get through the tough areas and score? That's going to be the big question for me. But I will say, going to Colorado on Saturday and beating them 7-0 put the whole league on notice, and it's only going to give the Jets a whole lot of confidence. They're playing their best hockey at the right time. And here's the thing, too, they're most likely going to get home ice advantage right now. We know how big of a factor that is for Winnipeg as well. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough series. I think that series has got 7 games written all over it. And right now, I said Colorado will win. I'm going to stick with it, but it's going to be a coin flip, though. It's not, a slam dunk that I thought it was going to be like last week.
What I find most concerning about Colorado's weekend was okay, you get slapped around 7-0 by Winnipeg in the most important game of your regular season, but you get a chance the next day to respond against the Vegas Golden Knights and you go up 3-0 and
Yes.
you lose that game in overtime. To me, that is concerning.
Hmm.
That is a that is a big
Yeah,
red flag
absolutely.
because good teams bounce back from bad losses.
Hmm.
Colorado had a chance. They did for 2 periods, and
Right.
then they blew that game and they let Vegas win it. So to me, that is the more concerning part of the whole weekend. Good teams have bad games. Important games, having a bad game in an important game is a bit of a red flag. Losing the next day in the fashion that they
Hmm.
lost, phew, get there's 2 red flags.
Yeah.
Get the it's a problem. It's a
Mhm.
problem in Colorado right now, and it just boils down to the fact that when you pin that team back, they can't get a save.
That's true. Now, the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers played on Saturday after it was kind of a anticlimactic game after the Coyotes went again into Edmonton and won in overtime. So the division really wasn't up for grabs, but the Canucks took care of business. Casey DeSmith was very, very, very impressive in my opinion. After having horrible starts the last little while, after losing the starting position to Arthur Seavlos, I forget how they're pronouncing it nowadays. Canucks guy.
Sealoffs, former
Seavlos,
Barry
yeah.
Colt there.
Yeah, yeah. And then look, the Smith comes in, makes 32 saves. The Canucks kind of shut the door again. Very impressed with Elias Lindholm. He shut down Leon Draisaitl at 5-on-5. That line was non-existent. Draisaitl was held pointless, was a -1. Um, are you worried about Connor McDavid though? Because he didn't play again. We think he'll play a game or two coming in before the playoffs. They're gonna probably go up against LA. Are you worried about McDavid's health and how that affects the Oilers' Cup chances, or do you think the Oilers are doing the right thing by just letting him rest and making sure he's close to 100% before playoff time?
I think you let him rest and let him be close to 100%. Really, the only benefit you get from winning the Pacific Division
Right.
is home ice in a potential second round matchup against Vancouver because the matchup is pretty equal, though, in the first round. Whether you get the
Yeah.
Golden Knights, whether you get the Kings, there's not really a huge drop off. You could argue, actually, it's probably a good argument to be made that you'd rather get the Kings than the Golden Knights, especially considering Edmonton's history against Los
And
Angeles. They've beaten them twice in the postseason over the last
mhm,
couple of years. you can make the case that that's actually the preferred draw. However, in that second case round matchup where Vancouver could get Edmonton, it does make things a little more interesting. It gives Vancouver certainly more of a chance. I think that's why you saw Vancouver maybe look like the hungrier team in that matchup.
Mhm.
All that being said, Connor McDavid, his health, I'm not overly concerned about. The team hasn't made a big deal about it. They just say he's day to day. I
Right.
think it's just maintenance and they're just resting him for the playoffs. So I'm not too worried right now if I'm an Oilers fan, but I would like to see him play one game before the postseason starts.
I agree, and I think it's the same thing as for Thatcher Demko with the Canucks. Thatcher Demko should be playing tomorrow against Calgary. That was the kind of the day they planned for him to come back. Connor McDavid, you don't really need him to play in the regular season. He's done enough, I think. It's up to him, and I think the Oilers are determining that it's up to Connor McDavid whether he wants to play a game in the regular season or wait till game one this weekend. He's a guy that can flip the switch no matter what. I think the Oilers will dispatch of the Kings. I think I'd rather play LA because, funny enough, Mark Stone's been practicing the
Yeah.
last week, half a week or so, right? So very convenient. But when I look at the Oilers and I look at this situation, the Canucks, dominated them this regular season. So if that potential second round matchup does end up, you're gonna have the Oilers that are gonna want to prove them wrong. But you have the Canucks with a whole lot of confidence going into a potential second round series. Now, Nashville, you got to get through Nashville first if you're Vancouver, and for the Oilers, you got to get through the LA Kings. But there's a whole lot of confidence for the Canucks, and also there's a whole bad taste in the Oilers' mouth, which will set up for a great series, I think. And I know I'm looking ahead to that. Excuse me, but what I think about this Western Conference playoff race is this first round is going to be very interesting because every single round, or sorry, every single matchup is going to have a potential upset. There's upset potential everywhere across the board.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. The Western Conference, up and down, you look at it, there
Mhm.
are heavy hitters. Dallas over Nashville is looking like, the most likely predetermined series. Even that's not set in stone, but
Yeah.
I would take Dallas over Nashville. But other than that, it's hard to really pencil in anybody else into the second round. Like, as much as I like Winnipeg, I'm not going to say
Mhm.
Colorado can't win that series. I don't think they will. I'm not going to say they can't win it. You
Mhm.
look at the other matchup too, like you said, if it's Edmonton, LA, if McDavid's not 100%, that could be a bit of a problem as
Yeah.
well. So, and then Vancouver, Vegas, you've got a team in Vegas that's been
Well,
there, has the playoff experience against a team in Vancouver that, hey, they've had a really good year, but this is their first taste of playoff hockey
I,
in quite
yeah.
some time. So, like it's pretty wide open all across the West.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings right now. It looks like Nashville's, they have 99 points with one game remaining. Vegas has two games left with 96. LA with 97 points with two games remaining. The Canucks are pretty much locked into the second seed in the West. They're probably going to play Nashville in the first round. As for Dallas, they might play Vegas or they might play LA. So it's going to be very interesting. If I'm the Dallas Stars, I'm hoping and praying that the LA Kings fall to them because I think LA they play a boring style of hockey. They play a very, they play a 1-3-1, very, defensive heavy. So if I'm Dallas, I think I could take advantage of that and really kind of play that playoff style hockey because there's gonna be no offense from the Kings. I don't want to play the Golden Knights. So that's gonna be very interesting for the next couple of days and how the matchups shake down. But all right, Stevie, Monday slate in the NHL, some interesting match with a whole lot of playoff implications. What are some of your best bets for tonight?
Well, I'm going to start off with the Montreal Canadiens at plus 107 to win or tie against the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit, yes, they need to win games, and Montreal is essentially playing for nothing. But this is a Canadiens team that's played very hard, and they've gone to overtime in each of their last two games, and they've been a tough out for most of this season, being one of the best puck line teams in the NHL. So I'm going to go with Montreal plus 107 against Detroit to win or tie. I also really like the Pittsburgh Penguins at minus 130 to score a win over the Nashville Predators. The Predators have not been as hot as they were earlier in the year after that canceled trip to the Sphere. And Pittsburgh, they're still in the thick of the fight. They're coming off a tough loss to Boston. I think they bounce back in a big way and get a big 2 points tonight.
All right, Stevie, great. We will catch you on Wednesday, where we'll probably have a clear picture on the first round of the NHL playoffs. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Justin. Take it easy.